right, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the First Time Storytelling broadcast. My guest today is Doug Wright. I met Doug back around 2009 while I was working on my startup, WhyGoSolo. We met at a networking event. We really hit it off, and he came on with me on some sales calls to help close some businesses. I actually went to my first professional soccer and NHL hockey games with Doug. He also
But
provided me
fun.
with my, yeah, he also provided me with my first exposure to doing sales. Doug is the kind of person that jumps right into things, like yours truly, always in the deep end. Be it in business, working with new startups, new training gigs, or personal things like hitchhiking across America twice. Doug is here to share the story of adding a chimney to an old farmhouse for a wood stove, something he had not only never done before, but had no idea how to do. All right, Doug, welcome to the First Time Storytelling broadcast.
And thanks for having me. It's always good to see you. It's been too long.
I know. All right, tell us. Tell us about this old farmhouse and why you decided that you're going to undertake something you've never done before, like adding a chimney.
Well, basically, it was economics. So I was renting a two-story farmhouse upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region. Okay, and it was just a beautiful old place. Hadn't been really kept up very well. Had a view of the lake. It was a great place just to sit. So my first year, I enjoyed it immensely until the winter came along. And as you know, in upstate New York, in the winter, you can get minus zeros a lot. The house was heated by oil, and it was expensive. I was about 28 years old, and it was the 1980s. Yikes. Remember that oil embargo?
Mm.
Hit hard. So, bing, there's plenty of wood around here. Everybody eats by wood. Why not put a wood stove in? So I went and talked to the landlord, gave him a phone call, talked it through, and he agreed. He said, no problem. You do all the construction. I'll help you. I'll pay for the materials you need to get it done. And you go do it. Kind of a loosey-goosey agreement on paper. So I was on my own. First step, went down to a wood stove place that sold wood stoves. And there's a lot of them in upstate New York. It's not hard to find that, considering where I am now. But no problem. Got to talking and said, this is what I'm going to do. And the first question I asked was, could I take this wood stove and put it in this living room and then connect it to the existing chimney? It's right there. It lines right up with the room. Oh, no, no. You never could do that. That's a fire hazard. You can't put two into one.
So you had a fireplace. The place had a fireplace.
It did not have a fireplace. That was for the oil. The chimney there was for the oil furnace.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Can't do two in one. Dang. So what's my options? Build another one. And you know, you probably seen them with the stovepipe coming out of the house and going up the side of the house, right? I said, okay, let's look at that. Yes, no way I'm going to be able to afford that. So what's the least expensive way we could build this? Put something in. Build a chimney out of concrete blocks. Okay. How hard can that be? All right? Heck, it's just concrete blocks in a straight line up the side of a house. So, well, I did a little bit more research. And
which, by the way, let's back up, because it's not like you can go on YouTube or really the internet to do research. So how did you do your research?
Call a library and talk with other people. The people that sold the concrete blocks, I talked to them and I said, what do I need to do? And part of it was my next big challenge was, what type of foundation am I going to need for this chimney? I have no idea weight, how much it's going to weigh. I got some idea how tall it's going to be, because a house is probably 30 feet tall, close to the top of the peak. So, but I have no idea weight. And they said,
Is
oh, you're going to have to go down through the frost line. Well, that makes sense. How far is that? Well, here it's 48 inches. I got to, whoa. I got to dig a hole 4 feet down. Yep. And fill it with concrete. Yep. And that's your foundation. Huh. Okay. All right. So I'm all by myself. I figured, well, it's June, first part of June. Everything's there. So I lined up where I was going to be by the house, and I started digging. And I dug and I dug and I dug.
with a shovel, just dug in the
With
shovel.
a pickaxe and a shovel. I did not hire anybody. I did it completely on my own. Pickaxe and a shovel. In those days, I was doing landscaping, so I knew how to dig. So got it down 4 by 4 foot, 4 feet wide all the way around. So big 4 foot square, 4 foot deep, bottom to here. So I figured, well, let's go buy some concrete. I'm not very good at math and volumes and figuring all that stuff out. I'll work it out. So I went and took my truck down, got how many bags of concrete, something I figured, well, I've got to do it. Well, mixed them by myself, poured them in, looked down. Drop in the bucket, a little drop in the bucket, not even a quarter of the way up. And I started figuring out the cost of the concrete. I'm like, I'll never be able to afford this. What have I done? So then old farmhouse and an old farm. I scrounged around, got old bricks. I got some farm stone from the fields. I got some stuff from the concrete walls that broken down by the old barn. And I started throwing them into the big pot, right? And then kept mixing concrete and pouring it in. So I filled it up a lot quicker. In hindsight, looking back and reading what I should have done, that was a no-no because that's not solid.
Yeah.
Frost can move that because it's not solid. It's a mixture. And who knows whether the concrete was adhering to half the stuff I'm throwing in that hole. Anyway, good guess. Got it done. Now it takes 3-4 weeks for a 4 foot hole to solidify and harden up. So I had to wait a while. In the meantime, my next challenge was to go into the house, and I was told, I can't put a wood stove on a wood floor next to a plaster and lath old farmhouse because you're going to go up in flames. So you got to build a platform. So I built a 4 by 6 foot platform out of bricks, 2 brick tall. Then I had to build a wall around both, one on each of the sides, because you can't just leave that wood stove open. It would heat the wall. So you have to put an insulation barrier in. Air will work as an insulation barrier, but now you have to build a brick wall 3 inches away from the existing home wall.
So you're enjoying this process, or are you?
I'm having time of my life.
Okay, you're having a blast. You're enjoying it.
It's a challenge. You know, I love challenges. It is a startup. It is one of those. How do you figure it out? If you talk to people, they give you advice, and you go try it. The other thing you have to not worry about, but a challenge is, where's that stovepipe coming off the stove and through the home? That eventually is going to have to line up with the chimney. So you're going to have to put a hole in the wall. Remember that?
So the owner is not coming in to check in on what you're doing?
Never saw it.
Never saw it. All right.
Never saw it. Completely on my own. My parents wouldn't even come out and look at it. They were a little concerned about my madness, let alone safety first was not part of this agreement. Wasn't my work order.
Okay.
No safety first. So that was my weekend. That was my rainy day weekend. I would build that platform during the rainy days. So I am figuring now it's June. I should be able to get this done. I have an old buddy that lived about an hour and a half away. We went to college together. He said, yeah, I'll come over and help you on weekends, right? Feed me, buy me some beer and we'll do this project together. Sounds like a lot of fun. So he would come over on the weekends, and now the next project was the platform is solid on the outside. You start putting down concrete blocks. Now these blocks are specially made for chimneys, and they are, what was the size? They were 16 by 16 by 8, about like that. And then inside of those blocks, that's a concrete block, then you put in a clay fireproof clay flue, and that's where the smoke's going to go up. And you have the block air around it for insulation. Easy peasy. Okay. Concrete block, 41 pounds. Flue was 16 by 16, no, 12 by 12 by 24. Somewhere around 60 pounds. So this is how we started, and we did this all the way through. You put a concrete block down, you put a little concrete around the top of it, you put the next block in, you take your flue and you put your flue down. And that's your first flue, okay? I would call it, that's first layer, done. Next layer, put your concrete block over the flue that's still sticking up, then put another concrete block on, put the flue down, and that's layer 2. And as we just moved up the house that way.
Right. Well, so on what? Just a little ladder? I mean, what?
I had to ask that question too. So safety-wise, the best thing I could possibly do is rent a scaffolding. And not that I've ever used one before, but it's like, no, that makes perfect sense. And I said, okay, and then you just keep building the scaffolding as you need to move up. I said, that works great. So can I rent these? Oh, yeah, we rent them. We went to a rental place. How much does it cost? Well, we do it by the week or by the month. And since I had figured out I was probably a little behind in my project schedule, I didn't know really how long I was going to need it. That was an open checkbook. And I was like, yikes, how much are you charging? I said, that's going to hurt. Is there another way? There is another way you can do it. It's something called ladder jacks. Never heard about it before. I became an expert. This is how it works. You rent 30-foot ladders and you put them on the side of the house next to where the chimney is going to go. And then you rent these ladder jacks that are triangular, and the triangle comes down, one hooks onto one run of the ladder, and the lower one hooks onto another end of the ladder. So it works, that's your focal point, holds on, and it's flat on the top with a lip. And then you take a 10-foot board that's 2 inches thick and 8 inches wide, and you put 2 of them together, and you have a 16-inch platform.
Doesn't sound very, very safe at all.
Especially
to carry like 100, because you're carrying 120 pounds up there.
So you're still with me. So now that we have steps worked out, okay? So I got on the platform, threw a rope down. My buddy would tie on a bucket of concrete. I'd haul it up, put it next to me. I throw a rope down. He'd tie on the rope to the concrete block. I'd haul 40 pounds up and put it next to me. Throw a rope down, tie on the flue. I haul up 60 pounds, put it next to me. Get a little crowded there. We only got 10 feet. So now at this point, he climbs up the other ladder and he gets on the left side of where the chimney is, and I'm on the right side. And we same step, concrete, block, flue, or concrete and another flue, done. At this point, you climb down and you take off, you move the platform, the wood off to one side, you move the ladder jack on the right up one run, you now the boards look like this, and then you take the other one and I hold the boards up and you move the ladder jack up and you're now to your next level. What fun!
So you were nice and young, thankfully, but
28.
How sore did you get during this project? And any injuries? Any injuries come out of it?
I will, good question about injuries. Not one. Not through the whole project, because it gets scarier as we move through. So we're moving up. So we got a kind of the system.
Rhythm.
And it kind of works, and it's a little, and then you get a little rain, and the ladders are no longer perfectly parallel. They kind of do this a little bit. And you have to prop it up, and you put stones underneath it because you're on Earth. You're not on the platform. You're too far away. So a little iffy. And then when you get up about 20 feet in the air and you're hauling these 60-pound blocks up, you get a little achy. But you're young. You're young. Yeah.
Yes, youth. The beauty of youth.
The beauty of youth. So here is the next big challenge. As you know, houses have roofs with eaves, and they come over the side of the house. Well, we're going to have to go through that eave, aren't we, to get the chimney through it. So we get to the level where we could just put the block right up to the bottom of the eave, but you have no room to cut through the roof because the chimney's in your way. Oh, got this covered. The next weekend, we climbed on top of the roof with a chainsaw.
Oh, Lord.
This is easy. Only one little hiccup. We got a snowstorm. It came off the lake up there. It happens all the time. You don't know when it happens. It could be perfectly blue sky. An hour later, you are in the midst of a whiteout.
Oh, wait, because we left off, it was June. So now we're removing what?
Mid-November.
Holy cow. So, all right.
Weekend work, not every weekend. Those blocks are heavy. It's slow process.
Okay, mid-November. We're way behind schedule.
Yeah, way off schedule. And it's snowing. And we're on the roof, two of us. It is a shingled roof. It wasn't a metal one, so a shingled roof. So safety first. We tie a rope to the existing old chimney. How old? I can't say. How strong? I don't know. I don't know how long it was there. So we're going to test it out. So we tie a rope onto that. We tie a rope onto him. He holds onto my belt, and I lean over the edge of the roof with a chainsaw. And I cut through gutter. I cut through shingle. I cut through wood, and work it all the way back to the edge of the house. And then try to find a way to chisel it off to get it a normal use so we can get the concrete block up through it. What fun. Snowing the whole time. Coming down the buckets. Got it done, but I will tell you that was the last thing I did that day.
Again, just plainly lucky that nothing went drastically wrong, like you falling off the roof with a chainsaw.
Something like that. Yeah, plain luck.
So you finish, you add the rest of your blocks, and then what happens?
But here's the next challenge. You really should have that chimney up to the top of the roof line. So when the wind blows, it drafts the air up through the chimney. If you're not, the wind can come and hit your roof and twirl and back down the chimney. Then you have backflow. You don't want that. But standing on the side of a roof, I had no other way of doing it. I only could get that block about this high. So it wasn't quite as high as what would be recommended. Cross my fingers. All right, you're right. Next step. What's next? The next thing I did was the next weekend, all by myself, no one else around. I chiseled a hole through the house. I cut through the lath and cut through the plaster, and then lo and behold, between the studs, those old days, they used bricks for insulation. Now I have to chisel the bricks out to be able to get to the clapboard on the outside of the house. And all this time, I am praying that when I finally open this hole up, the set hole in the concrete block and the flue are in perfect alignment.
Yeah. Wishful thinking.
Yeah, like I said, remember that math thing? I was like, yeah, sure, we did this right. Let's see, how far did we measure? Because you can't quite do it. You just have to I suppose better people than me. But anyway, lo and behold, spot on. Cut the clapboard, and I'm looking at a hole right into the chimney. I said, yippee, happy days. This is great. Next challenge, you got to put a pipe through that thing. Got that done the next day, and this is still November. So you can imagine I have a hole in the house. You can't really block it up very well. So November and a hole in the house, oil heat.
That's cold.
Where's this?
All right.
Where's the sleeping bag? So I had to get it done as soon as possible. Got it all sealed and let it harden up. Next thing was, doesn't work. I took a big wad of paper. I didn't put the stove in yet because if the chimney doesn't work, there's no sense in putting the stove in. So I took a big wad of paper and lit it, put it up to the hole in the wall, through the pipe, and it went right out of my hands. Just as it should be. I have a working chimney. So now I'm all happy. And now I'm in right after Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. My buddy's not around. My family's not around. No one's around. And the guy that I bought the wood stove from is getting a little annoyed that it's still sitting in his yard. You got to come get this wood stove. I got to come and get the wood stove. Okay. So I took my truck down and it was still in a crate. And they took a forklift, lifted it, put it on the back of my truck. I forgot about this wood stove all this time. I've been spending my concentration, all my effort onto a chimney. It was about 500, 600 pound wood stove in a crate, sitting on the back of my truck. No one around. Now what am I going to do? But I could back the truck up, drop the tailgate down, and it'd line up just about porch level. So I wouldn't have to lift it over steps. Just about porch level. And then I figured I could shimmy it, put it on a rug and shimmy it and wiggle it and waggle it and get it just over the sill of the floor to the door. And then I'm right, it's a wood floor, things will slide fairly easy, keep it on a rug. This will work. Well, I ain't doing that by myself. So I looked around, bing! At the time, I was dating a girl from time to time that literally lived over the next hill over, not far away, 10 minutes. And I said, Christmas time. She's probably home from college. And sure enough, I gave her a call. I said, hey, you want to help me with the project? Yeah. I've been sitting around with my parents. I'll come over and help. I said, okay, set it up for tomorrow. So here comes my old friend, Diane. And she is 5'5" and maybe 115 pounds. And I have this truck backed up to the porch with a 500, 600 pound wood stove. So the two of us heave ho, hot and hoo, up and over, got it in, took it out of undid the crate, and then we manhandled it on top of that concrete, that brick platform I had, 2 inches, about that high. It's not very high. Try to lift 500 pounds that high with 2 people. So then maneuvered it, hooked it up to the pipe, got that all lined up perfectly, tested it, opened the doors, got a wad of paper, lit it, closed the door, poof, up went the flame, up went the smoke. Not one bit of smoke came out.
Success. Yay.
Success. So one little thing, two things just to finish the story with. One, I realized that the room was getting hot. And right outside the room, there's a stairwell up to the bedrooms upstairs, like 3-bedroom house. And my bedroom, the master bedroom, right over the living room. So I went, I have an idea. I cut a hole in the floor and in the ceiling, and I put in a register. For $5, there's nothing to them. You just cut the hole about the right size and they fit in real nice and snug. Worked like a charm. The hot air came up, helped warm the bedroom in the winter. In hindsight, I would not recommend doing that. You are putting a hole in, which means that anybody in the living room can hear anything that's going on in the bedroom. and anybody in the bedroom can hear what anybody's talking about in the living room. Remember the age group?
Yeah.
Not the smartest thing I've done.
Yeah.
Would not recommend it.
It's better to be warm.
It did work. So here is the end of the story. So I stayed for a couple of years and then moved. Long story. Doesn't matter at this point. Oh, and I didn't really ever go back. I went back twice to that area and never went back out to see it. Just no need for that. Sometimes you just keep going. You know that. So just kept going. Did go back and ended up seeing another old friend, and she and I had worked together, and she had been to the house many times because I worked out of the house, and we had many apartments in the house, and she'd been there many times. And we were down sipping wine and catching up with, old times. And she says, Doug, remember that house? I said, of course. She goes, I have a friend that bought it. They renovated it. It's gorgeous. And your wood stove? It's still there. 30 years later.
Wow. Same chimney and everything?
Yep.
Oh my God. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild.
I did good.
I
did good.
Yeah. Especially since there was
a lot of gambling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So now you see where my entrepreneurship comes from.
Yeah.
And just jump into the deep end. Work it out.
Yeah, figure it out as you go and
figure it out. Some of it,
and you highlighted it's also about luck. There's no if, then, a but that there was a lot of luck involved in your project. When things could have gone wrong, they did not. And that's and it's not because you were highly prepared.
Oh no.
Because you were lucky.
I was very lucky more than once.
Oh, well, and I'm sure that's a project that gave you confidence to do many other things after that. So that's splendid. That's awesome.
And that's the whole that's the idea of being an entrepreneur. Even if it doesn't work, you've learned a lot from it, and you get better as you go.
Yeah, and
you're not as afraid to take on some other projects.
Yeah.
Still.
Oh, awesome. All right, let's shift over to the first time lightning round. So the way it works is I'm going to give you some options. And if it's something you've done before, you say up, because on the app you would swipe up. If it's something you've never done, not interested, left. If it's something you've never done, would like to do, then it's right. And we might get some other stories out of you from this. All right, go to a shooting range.
Left.
Never been, not interested.
Yep.
Really?
I've been by them. I stood there, but I've never took a gun and said, I want to try it out.
Yeah. And you're not interested to do it.
Still there. I'm now in Lower Virginia, and there's gun places and shooting ranges all over here. Still don't have any interest.
Yeah, interesting. Could be fun. Obviously I've shot a lot of weapons being in the Marine Corps, but a few months ago, a few months now, I went to one of the ranges here in Las Vegas because I had never shot an AK-47. So I went to shoot an AK-47 and it was a lot of fun. So, but to each our own for that, for sure.
Yep.
All right. Foster a pet.
I'm doing right on that because I'm right in the middle of looking for a pet.
Oh, okay.
I'm renting where I'm at, and I talked to the landlord thinking no, and he came back and said, I love pets. Go ahead.
Okay. But you're looking to adopt, or are you looking to foster?
I'm wide open on that. I figured I didn't want to go down too many roads until I got an okay from the guy.
Yeah. Okay.
And since he was enthusiastic, now I'm enthusiastic. And I have been hearing, though, that most of the adoptions and most of the
fostering
animal shelters and things are empty.
Yeah, that's a
People
very
are bored. And,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing with
positive.
the COVID-19 that the shelters are
Because
finding themselves empty.
wherever there's a negative and you know this, there's a positive.
Yeah, there are positives.
Look for the positive.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, when some people go back to work, the pets are going to go back to the shelters, but
Hopefully not.
hopefully not. Indeed. Okay. Go to a science museum.
Uh, Go to a science museum. That's a double up. I do it all the time.
All
Any
right.
opportunity I
Awesome.
get to. Yeah, I love science and love learning stuff. So
Do you remember your first time as a kid, the first time you went?
um, it was in Rochester, New York, and I went to their science museum, but I can't remember exactly what. Just I can't. I know I walked away very enthralled, but I can't remember what exactly. There wasn't any particular thing. It was like, this is neat stuff.
Yeah.
So, and
Okay.
I still do it.
Cool.
I'll go to just about any museum. My last museum was the Mercedes-Benz Museum
All right.
in Germany, and that is one fascinating museum.
Yeah. I never went to the Mercedes Benz. I went to the Porsche one, and I said the Porsche one was actually disappointing.
That's
All
I
right.
said the same thing. But next
drive
analytical question.
drive a Tesla.
I'm going to go right on that because I met some people here, and I was out hiking the other day in a park, state park, because exercise is all we can do anyway, and actually ran into this couple right by the parking lot, and they own a Tesla. So there might be an opportunity there.
To try it out. Awesome. All right. Knit.
What's next?
Knit.
Knit.
Knitting. Yeah.
The answer is knitting. That's an up.
Oh.
Yeah,
What's first?
I have done it. When I was a child, I broke my leg, and I ended up for long. I won't go to the whole story, but I ended up in a hospital for a very long time. And so my mother came in and taught me how to knit,
Oh, that's awesome.
and I knitted.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. Still probably could pick it up. And another thing that you probably don't know, I've also been a weaver. I know how to weave.
Oh, fabulous. All right. Tap dance.
Mm, mm. I'd go right on that.
Yay.
I would take a chance. I took a chance doing the waltz in D.C. at the Austrian embassy.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that's the same type of thing. You go, just do it, and I would be proud to say I failed miserably.
All right.
I cannot.
But you did it. So it
I did
matters.
it.
Trying it. Yep.
My feet weren't working well, but the champagne might have had something to do with it.
All right. Donate blood.
Up. Yeah,
Oh,
I have
done that.
more than once.
All right. Take a kickboxing class.
That's a left.
That's a left.
That's left. I'm not saying age, but I am saying egg painty thing
Yeah.
work very well.
It's come and gone. All right. Eat beef tongue.
I've done it, so yeah. That's
How
enough.
was that?
It's okay. I wouldn't order it again.
Where did you try it?
I actually tried it. Where was it? New York City.
Is it a restaurant or yeah?
Yeah, it's a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's a restaurant.
Yeah.
Fancy places.
Okay. Play craps.
Done it. So that would be an up. I have
Yep.
done that. Yep.
Yeah. What was your first time like? Did you win? Did you lose?
Actually, was my very, very first time. Was it my very first time that I did craps? I was working in the Dominican Republic, and they put me up in a 5-star hotel, and in that 5-star had a
Crap stable.
gambling, what that, And just for giggles, because I'm not much of a gambler, no real thrall for me to do it. But for giggles, I went and did it. Won $180 in craps.
Very nice.
Yep.
Not bad. All right. So the next question is today's prompt. And today's prompt is first time you had Mexican food. It's Cinco de Mayo.
That's a tough one. The very first time I had Mexican food, I am going to say sometime in the 70s. I know when it was. I will tell you, probably I picked it up in college.
You had it in college.
And since then, I am a very good Mexican food cook. One of my
right.
tacos, and there's probably not a week goes by that there's not a day that Dougie Fresh is out there cooking tacos.
All right. Well, so my first time, because I'm originally from Canada, so when we moved to Massachusetts, started school, and they had Taco Tuesdays for lunch, and so that was my first time. I don't know if it really. I mean, technically, it's Mexican food. I don't know if it counts because it's school food, but I remember because everybody was so excited, and they kept saying Taco Tuesday. Today's Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. It's not like I knew a whole lot of English, anyways. So I didn't like, why are they putting these two words together type of thing. And I remember going down there and, I got it and it's on my plate and I'm watching other people eating and it's falling apart. And I'm like, why is everybody so excited about this? And then I bit into it and I was not a big fan of the shell. To this day, I don't like the hard tacos. So that was a no-no from the first time I had it, but I did like all the other mixture of taste and didn't know what the meat was. It was mystery meat, but I like the flavors, I like the taste, and I definitely became a fan afterwards. Not of Taco Tuesday, but exploring more of what Mexican food had to offer. Yeah.
For you.
So, okay. Last question is, how are you making the best of the current situation that we are finding ourselves in?
Um, um, a long outstanding project is I had been a photographer for years and years and years. I've taken tons of pictures, and I'm also a very good procrastinator. So at all those years, I've never really or put them in any type of organization or any type of format, or even grouped them together by maybe some with family, but not by different family members. So that is what I've been doing. I've been trying to pull that together, and it goes back to where I have boxes and boxes of slides.
Yeah.
So that's it's a really running through some memories, but also looking at some photographs where, in my opinion, because I took them, they're really great. So I'm also now learning how to mount them myself. I got a book and I did some YouTube stuff. And so one of my other projects now is getting printed and then mounting and putting them up.
Oh, how awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
I had I suck with names. What was his name? His first time, his story that he told was his first time printing his artwork, his photographs, and he ended up displaying him in an opening. And he gets into like the do's and don'ts of printing, and you're a great guy for you to connect with.
Send the email over. Love to.
Yeah.
Or Instagram. I'm posting more on Instagram now.
Yeah, I'll do the introduction, and I'll send you his video is on YouTube on the 365 First
Great.
channel.
I'll look it up.
I'll send you the link to that, and yeah, excellent. I learned so much about you today, Doug.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
I got more stories if you ever laughing.
I don't doubt that at all. All right. Well, again, thank you for being on.
Thank you again, and I look forward to keeping in touch and chatting more often.
Yep.